Can you do that twice? And I'll put that as the intro to this whole episode because I think that's brilliant.
Let the body keep the score. Let the body keep the score.
Yes. This week, we're talking embodiment, what it means, why it's hard, and how we can connect with this interesting meat suit hanging off our bones. We're two childhood best friends talking about creative mindset.
I'm Emily Hatch.
And I'm Carrie Schaefer, and this is Honestly, Dear Listener.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo! Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. I
Oh,
know.
that's really cute.
Yeah, I know. Guess what we're going to talk to you about today, dear listener? Your body.
We also noticed that if you're looking at this podcast, we look like we're in two different podcasts. I'm in the Magic Mirror podcast where there's just a floating head with a V neck on it.
She's wearing black on a black background. So for anyone that's not watching this, that it just kind of, I'm here for the look, but yeah.
It does look like you're in bright, like yellowy color and sunshine, and I'm like over here like the crypt keeper. That's fine.
Well, welcome, dear listener, to Honestly, Dear Listener, the every other week, the fortnightly podcast. We talk about all things creativity and art and sometimes spiritual deconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
And that this last one, the spiritual deconstruction bit, I think is rearing its head today as we are talking about bodies, because there's no way to do art without a body. And there's no way to be a Christian while having one. Not well anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah.
If you are a person who did not grow up in a high control religion, as we've said before, congratulations. I'm really, really happy for you. I wouldn't wish that on hardly anyone. And yet it happens to so many. I believe that this applies. I do think that as creatives, we can be dealing with a lot of things like anxiety and needing to like go be places and do things and feel intense shame or like worry surrounding putting ourselves out there in our art. And I think that, like I said, even if you didn't grow up this way, you probably are dealing with some kind of disconnection or struggle with these things. And getting back in our bodies is something that we hear from a lot of different types of people. So this is for you too. But we just happen to have this very interesting corner of the market here.
That's right. I mean, heck, if you grew up in a culture where you were a female and people were policing your body, if you grew up in this culture as a male, um, there were implications for your body that weren't healthy. Like, I guess this really could apply to everyone because I don't really know a whole lot of people who are embodied people and are living in harmony with their body. Do you?
Well, I would love for you to describe to me the type of person or that is that in your mind is in their body. That was good. All right. In your mind is in their body. What is that?
Uh-huh.
What does that look like in your opinion?
So, to me, an embodied person is a person who is there's a constant communication flow between the mind and the body. And it's not just thinking. It's also, I have a thought. What do you think about that body? How does that resonate with you? The body is like, oh, I like that, or I don't like that, or whatever. And there's a constant, there's like a harmony between these two different parts. And this is probably super simplified and reductive, but for the sake of
I
the
need
conversation.
simplicity.
Okay.
Give it to me, baby.
I
Mhm.
will. And
Okay.
so So where people end up getting stuck, and especially people who grew up in a high control religion, is that there's a lot of mind, mental stuff happening, and then it gets stuck right, like, below the neck almost, where we're like, because we were taught, don't listen to your body, don't
Mm.
consider it. What it wants is wicked. And that's not what we're after. Everything that you need, all the communication, all the information, the blueprints for living your life can be found in the Bible. And,
Your
or,
body is the flesh.
right, your body is the flesh. And so I've spent so much of my life being like, I have a great relationship with myself. Look, I'm working on my self-esteem, and I'm working on how I talk to myself, et cetera, et cetera. And then I started therapy like, I don't know, 6 months ago, and found out that there's this whole other part of myself that I have to consider for good mental health. And it's called the body. And
Mm.
it's like simple things, like I will often not go to the bathroom because I don't wanna, let's say I'm out with someone and we're walking around in stores or whatever, and they're like, I "Let's go to this new place." But I'm like, "I have to go to the bathroom." Instead of just being like, "Oh, hey," in my mind, "My body is so important to me, and this is like one of those basal human needs that every human should have, because if you have a body, that there you have to take care of it." I will oftentimes be like, I don't want to inconvenience that other person. I am not going to go to the bathroom. I will dismiss what my body is telling me I need. I will have a migraine at the end of the day because I have not drank water all day because I've been downstairs. The water filter is upstairs. So that means I'd have to go all the way upstairs. That's annoying.
Mm.
I don't have time for that. I'm working, you know?
Mhm.
And so I won't do it. Or eating. I'll be like, why do I feel terrible and have low energy? Because what you have to like, this is my relationship with body needs. They're annoying,
Mm.
and they're
Mhm.
constant, and they're every day, and they never stop, is how I feel. And I felt that
Mm.
way all through growing up. Like whenever my mom would be like, it's time to eat for dinner, we'd all have to go to the table. I would be right in the middle of something. And then but I knew if I shoved everything in my mouth as quickly as possible, I could be excused and go back to doing what I want to do. So that's
Mm.
now how I approach food every single time I eat, even if it's something that I like. I'll just shove it in as fast as possible because that's what I've trained myself to do. Not taking any pleasure in the eating part.
Mhm.
Now, emotional needs, those are different. Emotions are important, Emily. I was
Mhm.
taught that, how your feelings and you know, how you're connecting to God. He often is in the feelings, and he works with our feelings, and he works with our emotions, etc. But body stuff, no way, man.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah. I guess I don't always put together the religious piece. We've talked about this stuff before where like I'm not denying that at all. I just never really put it together as being from that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think as I get older, I'm noticing like I have to force myself to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I want to do other shit. And I've caught myself just like standing at the counter, like forcing myself to eat an egg. I don't know.
Mm,
Also, like, I think women of our age are going through a lot of hormonal things. And so we're like,
absolutely.
you got to eat protein. So I'm just like, I will force this. You know what's hard to make yourself eat? Eggs.
Yeah.
So I will often just stand at the counter miserably like pouring sriracha over an egg and shoving it in my cheeks and
Uh-huh.
like a freaking squirrel, and then I walk through the house like chewing this egg miserably. I have noticed these things, Also, the bathroom thing is something, and there was a book that I read, I think I talked about it a long time ago, um, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but I will remember, but it was talking about a woman who ignored her body's, like, urges to poop for
Mhm.
so long, and she was so stressed that she had to go to therapy, physical therapy, to get her body to poop again like a normal
Wow.
body because
Mhm.
she had ignored it so much. I think there is an issue with a lot of women. I can only speak from my experience, ignoring their needs
Mhm.
to be able to take care of other things,
Mhm.
and then not realizing that they can't even hear their bodies anymore at all.
Yep.
My most recent thing that has been strange with my body is that it is yelling sometimes, and it's so weird, and I've been like, "What is this?" And when I was working with Gemma toward the end, she's like, "I really think you should do some more, like, movement stuff
Mm.
and, like, things to get you, like, more somatic work because your body is telling you all these things, and you're like, I don't connect what's happening." For
Mhm.
instance, I went to a coffee shop, this was, like, a couple months ago, to work on making, like, a community group something for my singing, uh, and I sat down and started doing it, and I started having, like, a panic attack
Hmm.
out of nowhere. Truly, in my mind, here's what happened. I'm like, I should go to the coffee shop. So I work on this. Great. I go to the coffee shop. I get my coffee. I sit down. I pull out my notebook. And all of a sudden, I'm like, the world is caving in on me. I'm in danger. Ah. And I'm like, you idiot. What is wrong with you? You're just sitting in a coffee shop. So I try to, like, do the find six things and whatever. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm leaving. I told Gemma about it. And she's like, do you want to do this group?
Mm.
And I just started crying and was like, "No, I
Mm.
don't." And she's like, "Well, it sounds like your body was like, no, 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 we don't
Mhm.
want this," like, or I start talking about singing and, like, certain songs that I love, and I can't stop crying.
Mm.
And now I'm realizing this is so annoying though. That's my body being like, we love this. We want this." And I'm like,
Oh.
why does she have to yell so loud? Cuz I'm like, I would really prefer to not be mid conversation and just crying for, like, literally
Mm.
I don't connect the reason. I'm like,
Mhm.
what is going on? And took Gemma being like, I think it's like your body telling you what you like and what you don't like. And I'm
Yep.
like, "Oh, okay."
Isn't it
Woo.
amazing that the body often knows before the mind does?
Especially with the amount of time I spend thinking. You would
Right? Yeah,
right?
you would think.
I
Yeah.
do. I would and I do.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I kinda think okay, so I am a person who has had many panic attacks in her life, um, and they're awful. They feel terrible. I mean, there isn't a word or a phrase that I can use that communicates how awful they feel in your body,
it feels
and
like a near death experience.
it does, and often my mind is going, "What? What is happening? Get out of the like, what is wrong with you? Nothing is
Yeah.
wrong. So
Yep.
what is your fucking deal? Why are you freaking out right now?" And then the mind saying that just makes it worse,
Oh, yeah. Then you're like, "Oh my god, you suck. You suck,
right?
and you're dying. No, you're not." Like, oh
Mhm.
my god.
But I think panic attacks are a way for the body to be like, "I really don't like that, and you're not listening. So this is my trump card. Listen."
Mhm. Mhm.
Truly. I'm gonna have to turn that way down in
Yeah,
post, by the way.
that
I know it peaked like heck. Sorry. Um, but yeah, like, it's kind of this amazing system where I wish I could do a some kind of a study, but it probably wouldn't get federal funding, at this point,
What
but
is?
right. Um, I wish I could do a study that kind of shows the connection between disembodiment and panic attacks. My
Mm,
hypothesis is that panic attacks go up the more disembodied we are.
hmm,
Because if we're not listening when the body is talking at this level, maybe we will listen when the body is yelling in a panic
mm,
attack. Like,
mhm,
and I mean, for me in my life anyway, I would not have made the changes that I made that I needed to have made until my body screamed at me in a panic
mhm,
attack.
mhm. Cool. So panic attacks are good. End of podcast. Just kidding.
Bye.
Good
J-
to see you
Just
guys.
every time you have
See you.
one, just try and be grateful.
Yeah, that'll be added to the crew collection of voices. Why aren't you grateful, you stupid bitch? I'm too busy
Yes.
trying to breathe. Sorry.
Right.
Also, just as a side note, breathing exercises on average have not worked well for me if I'm in those kind of scenarios because I am overanalyzing every part of what's happening to me. And then I'm like thinking about breathing stresses me out. I'm like, I
Mm,
can't stop. I have to keep going. Make sure you breathe slow. Oh my God, this is too slow. What if we're like breathing exercises do not do it
yeah.
for me. You know what does work? Punching the air and dancing like
Yeah.
hard. I
Mhm.
do that. It, like, knocks me out of whatever it is.
Yes.
However, I do feel that in public, it is discouraged to start wildly punching the air, but
I don't know why.
you could just look like a cool, quirky lady who dances. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I did do that at the park a couple times recently. I was just like, I'm gonna start. I didn't punch. I just danced because, like, it's New York. That lady's
Yeah.
weird. I'll never see her again. And I'm just like dancing and skipping around. Like, okay. Um,
Totally. I mean, there are lots sometimes, we have to, like, break a physical state, and to do that, you have to do something that's kind of shocking to the system. Like, I've heard, like, cold water like, cold water plunges
mhm,
and going to the bathroom and, like, splashing cold water on your face and your chest is a way to do that and to
bring
kind of be
yourself
like,
back.
"Whoa, yeah." Because
Hmm.
you almost, like, lose yourself in the body's communication of its freaked outedness.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been having weird ones sometimes when I'm performing,
Hmm.
which I don't know if any of you creatives, maybe you're like going to do something you're nervous about. And then all of a sudden, I'm like eh, in a show and there are like 500 people standing there staring at me. And I'm like, whew, oh my God. Okay, well, here we are. I might fall down on this
Mm.
stage and in front of everybody. And so recently, I've actually started dancing and like pushing the thoughts away with my
Mm.
hands.
Oh.
That sounds kind of weird, but just ways that I'm like, get back in your body. Like, I'll touch my
Mhm.
chest, not like, my nipples or anything. That'd be weird, but just put my hand.
I felt myself up on stage. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
great.
And I mean, it went well. No, just like putting my hand on my clavicle area,
Uh-huh.
um, with the lyrics and acting like that just really matters to me.
Hey,
But
that's
really it's
socially
that I'm
sanctioned.
calming myself down. Yeah. There's a woman that is on the train traveling back or to Manhattan and that I've seen a few times, and she'll just be like tapping her
Mm.
chest on the train. And I'm like, "Oh man, I feel you." Um
Mhm.
but yeah, like doing physical things that get you back into your body and
Mhm.
realizing that you're in control and it's okay, um, can help kind of snap you out of your brain.
Mhm.
Cause
R
that's sorry.
No, go ahead.
just your thoughts. That seems to be the biggest problem to me is I'll just start, "Oh, no. What if this? What if this? What if this?" And then my body feels weird because of it,
Mm.
and I have to get myself back into my body.
Remember how we talked about, I don't even know what episode it was. I'm gonna have to look that up later and put it in the show notes. But remember we talked about this concept of dropping down the well. And it's
Mhm.
kind of like, you kind of you jump into the well and you allow yourself to go down, down into kind of this like deep wisdom knowing. And
Mhm.
I know I'm using all of these like kind of non-concrete words here. But that's I wonder if what we were saying back then was drop down into the wisdom of your body.
Mm. Yeah.
Wh- which isn't really like it's not a mind activity, it's not a logical activity, it's not I don't hear words when I'm doing that.
Right.
I hear like sound and vibration and like um warmth. I don't know. Maybe this is just like weird woo-woo stuff, but like I kind of wonder, and I get that same sense when I'm doing something like yoga, especially at the end, in corpse
Mm.
pose, which is my favorite.
Shavasana.
Yep, I end up just like I went to a yoga class the other day, by the way, and I wept the entire time.
Nice.
And this was kind of a big breakthrough for me because in my head I was like, what is the reason? What is the reason? What is the reason? Why? Like I just
Mhm.
kept being like, why are you crying? What is going on? What is the da, da, da? And I came up with all these reasons that none of them felt like they resonated. Like they resonated like maybe 30 to 50%, but not 100%. I was like, I don't know. I'm just like spitting out compulsively reasons why
Mm.
I think I
Mhm.
might be crying. And then by the end, like during the corpse pose, I was like, maybe you don't need to know the answer to that. You're
Mm.
doing a very physical exercise that is designed to unite you with your body.
Mhm.
Maybe your body is feeling things and releasing things that you don't logically even need to analyze. Maybe you just let it be what it's going to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mind blown.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly like some of my favorite times recently when I've been performing or when I don't really have a thought in my head.
Mhm.
It's just like meditative. And speaking of, I really think that I need to be meditating because
Mm.
I think practicing clearing, as the Buddhists say, monkey mind,
Mhm.
is huge. And I
Mhm.
think when you start having those like, moments, being able to, that's honestly partially why I was doing that, like pushing, like I'm dancing, but I'm like pushing those thoughts away. And some of the times that I've tried meditating, I'm really bad at it, but I think that's the whole fucking point.
Yep.
Um, I envision like a like Frogger kind of, if you
Mm.
ever played that
Mhm.
old game, but like a fake, like the ones that weren't the road. It was like the water with the logs, and
Oh.
like I think about it just like a river, a weird river of thoughts, and they just keep going out of the frame, you know? Um,
Mm.
or like another person's suggested like cars down a desert highway and you just like see them and watch them go by and they disappear, you
Right.
know? Um, and I think that is probably really useful in getting into your body and
Mhm.
with that inner knowing without having to be like, "Why is there a car in the middle of the desert? When are they gonna run out of gas? Why do I have" like, "Nope,
Yep.
bye. How am I getting home?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I've heard that meditation is pretty key, like on a scientific level. Like they've measured brain waves and everything, and they're like, the people you can tell on a scan uh, who meditates and who doesn't,
Mm.
because certain parts of the brain will be beefy and other parts, I don't know if the other parts are whatever. Your
The other
brain.
parts are just those little seaweed people in the Little Mermaid in Ursula's
Yes.
cave. That's how my brain
Woo.
is. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It it kinda sounds amazing, and it makes sense. If you practice having a thought and letting it go, I mean, imagine the implications of that when you have a distressing thought and you wanna let it go,
Mm.
when you're not
Like
meditating.
like you could just be like, "Oh," and go back to that place.
Right, exactly. "Oh, I know what to do here. I've been practicing that, like, several times a week in meditation. Cool." And then you do
Mhm.
it. Like, that sounds pretty
Yeah.
amazing to me.
I think it could be useful.
Or
These
something.
these people might be onto something.
Woo! Hey, dear listener, it's Carrie. If you've ever found yourself nodding along with the show thinking, I wish I had someone to help me make sense of where I'm at, well, hi. I happen to be a certified life coach, and I work with artists who feel a little stuck, a little swirly, or just need help finding the next right step. I'm opening up a couple more spots for artists who want support and structure in their creative work, and I would love to help you reach your goals. To learn more, visit honestlydearlistener.com/coaching. Don't worry, dear listener. We've got this. Okay, back to the show. Woo! Bodies. Bodies,
Yep.
bodies, bodies.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Burnout is the name of the book. It came back to me.
Nice.
How appropriate.
While we're talking about resources for embodiment and healing, I would like to also mention that Hilary L. McBride's book, Holy Hurt, just came out. It's about healing from spiritual trauma, and she talks a lot about the body in it,
Mm.
which I have not finished it, but I'm very excited, because so much of what I've learned about the body is from Hilary McBride. Also, you mentioned a book earlier that I think is pretty gold standard when it comes to embodiment.
I just downloaded The Body Keeps the Score. Let the bodies keep the score. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Can you do that twice? And I'll put that as the intro to this whole episode because I think that's brilliant.
Let the body keep the score. Let the body keep the score.
Yes, that makes me so happy. Now every time I see that book cover, that's what I'm gonna play in my mind.
Amazing. Yes, The
Yes.
Body Keeps the Score,
Yes.
by Bessel van der Kolk,
Okay.
MD.
Good. Very good.
Van der Kolk.
Vander what? Kolk?
Kalk. Kalk.
Kalk.
Kalk.
Ugh.
Yep,
So
that's
what do
who it
we
is, a fine, gentle person.
Oh, man. Oh, the brain. I'm going in a
Ladies
million
and
directions.
gentle thems, we're doing good. We're letting my body is just going for it. I'm not
Oh,
even here
man.
anymore. Um,
It's just my body babbling about things.
yep, I've blacked out, but, I don't know how it happened.
Yep.
So,
Where do we go from here? So I was talking to my therapist about this yesterday, and she was like, "Okay, what is the end goal with your body?" And I was like, I mean,
death. I'm just
what?
kidding.
That's the destination.
Okay, got it.
But, like, she's like, what do you wanna be able to do with it?" And I was like, "I want to be able to listen to her and trust her, and to not feel annoyed or resentful when she tells me things."
Mm,
And I don't want to question at all or be annoyed by when my body has needs. Even if they're, quote, unquote, "the dumb ones," like going to the bathroom. Okay, they're not dumb, but they feel dumb to me right now. I wanna change that language.
that dumb thing I have to do, peeing.
Going to the
Yeah.
bathroom, taking a shower, eating a meal, drinking some water, having to work out, like, all these things I'm like, "Okay," like, so annoyed by. I don't wanna feel annoyed by them. I want to feel like like when you really love someone and you, like, do something that is inconvenient for you, but you do it with a joyful heart because you're like, "I just love them so much. It's
Mhm.
my pleasure to do this for you." That is the energy I wanna
Mm.
feel. And she was
Mm.
like, "Whoa, that's some, like those are some big goals." And I
I
was like,
agree.
"Yeah, those feel like massive monumental goals." And she was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, we don't start there.
Mm-mm.
We don't start expecting that, like, next month." I was like, "Okay, where
Mhm.
do we start?" She was like, "Teeny tiny. Oh, so small." Like, your body's like, "I might be thirsty." And you're like, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna go get some water." And you don't have to feel great about it, but you just do it, you know? Or and this is a tough one for me, taking a shower.
Mm.
I don't want to ever. I'm
Mm.
doing things. But, like, if I don't take care of my body, I feel worse about it. I don't wanna feel worse about it. I wanna feel better about it. So, like,
Mhm.
going and taking a 5-minute shower every morning, you know, th it starts in these tiny, tiny little ways of, like because I think the root of having a good relationship with your body is self-trust, which is something I'm like,
Mhm.
"Wait, what? What even is that?" I don't know.
Mm.
Um but when you tell your body you're going to do something, you do it. So it's,
Mhm.
I hear the message that that I need to go eat a snack. And instead of being like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to go do it because
Mhm.
that's what I told my body I would do.
Mhm.
I can't do that with a happy heart right now.
That's okay. I think I think when I think about this stuff, I do expect that I should be like, "Whoa, Emily, what a gal. Love her. Gonna take care of her." Like, I don't
Yeah, I
have
don't
that.
either.
I just am a little like I wrote in my morning pages a couple days ago that I think that I almost am viewing, okay, this is all woo-woo shit, but a parade of parts. So,
Mm,
parts meaning the different little parts of yourself, the judgmental and all of the sector of judgment voices for different reasons in different ways. The nice one, there's one of them. Like the whole group that runs things up there, upstairs in your brain. So, I almost viewed them like a parade.
mm.
And lately, who's been leading charge but the one that's like, "Walk faster! What's wrong with you? Come on!" Like, and everybody is behind like, "Ah!" Like, "I told you we're never gonna get anywhere. Ah!" That one's been kinda leading the parade. And
Uh-huh.
I had this vision in my mind of, like, the old sweet nanny taking little Emily's hand and walking to the front of the parade and being like, "Okay, it's time for a change of the guard.
Mm.
You guys go behind the banner." And
Uh-huh.
that one's like, "Well, we're never going to get anywhere if I'm behind the banner." That's okay. Go
Mhm.
on back there because the ones that I want leading right now is the version of me that wants to take care of the littlest one. How could
Mm.
you look little you in the face and be like, "You don't need to eat, you stupid little bitch"? Like,
Yeah.
no, we need to look that part in the face and be like, "Do you need a snack?
Mm.
Okay." And that doesn't mean you're like, "I love you, little kid." It's just like, "What do you need?"
Mhm.
Okay. Like, I'm not going to deny you that. That is weird.
Mhm.
I will deny that bitch that's yelling at me to keep moving. Like, I will deny her because holy shit, I don't feel good about that.
But
Right?
she has needs too.
She does, but she can just step on back because right
Mhm.
now, little Emily needs a fucking hard boiled egg. That's just what we're going to do. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yep.
Uh, so we will reluctantly squirrel that into our mouth because that's what we have to do right now for
Where does the
her.
body fit into this word picture of the parade, or does it?
I think that it's like we're moving.
Mm,
I think that might be it. I'm not sure. I haven't thought hard about it, but it's less about the thoughts and more
mm,
about what's going to sustain us in the movement from the block 1 of the parade to the end. We have
mm,
to keep going, and
mhm,
we can't just beat ourselves up the whole way there.
right?
So how do we want to take care of ourselves? I think envisioning something kinder
Mhm,
is helpful. It's not gonna be like, "Oh my god, I love me," like I said, but it
mhm,
could be, "Oh, hey, little guy, what do you need? I can do
mm,
that for you, because we gotta keep going,"
mhm.
instead of, "Why aren't you running faster? I have to be shut up!"
Yeah, yeah,
I could have compassion for that, I guess.
mhm,
So I think it's like it is in your head still a little bit, but it is like we don't have to necessarily love and trust ourselves right now because we kind of can't get all the way over there, but maybe just a little self-compassion
mhm.
would go a long way in taking care of that,
So you're
you
saying,
know?
like, we don't have to be at, like, ninja sensei levels of expert self-love. Like,
Body
maybe that's
people.
the goal, hopefully eventually, but right now, that's not where we're at. We're at, like, simple, like, I told my therapist, I was like, "I feel like I'm a baby, like, I'm a child." And I think in a lot of ways in this area, I am, um, because I was never taught things about my body when I think it's appropriate to teach things about your body,
Mhm.
like, I didn't get that education. Um, I got, like, maybe a and not my parents necessarily, but the subculture was like, "Maybe let's not talk about it,"
Mhm.
or "It all makes sense when you're married."
Mm.
Like, it'll all make sense when you find your prince and he wakes you up from being asleep as a virgin and you get
Gross.
married, and then your wedding night, it'll all just click into place, like that, which is a body thing too, that I'm like,
Mm.
"What?" Um,
Mm.
I'm finding out now that there are definitely gaps in my education, that I have to go back the long way in order to come out of this a person who is at peace with all the different parts of herself. And a
Mm.
huge one of those is the body. I mean, that is our interface,
Mhm.
our connection. Like, think about all the things we wouldn't do if we didn't have a body. Like I said at the top of the episode, we wouldn't be creating art. We wouldn't be able to communicate with people. We wouldn't be able to do anything other than be. And so, what am I doing fighting my body, or like expecting it to look a certain way, or like whatever, fit into an ideal? Like, it's a tool. And you have to maintain your tools,
Mhm.
or else they're not going to serve you well. So,
I agree. I also think for a lot of creatives, you really have to dive very deep into your mind a lot to produce things.
mhm,
Writers, musicians, artists, I think visual artists that are creating not in a computer, uh, I think have a little bit more. I don't know. I'm not saying like I just would imagine dancers, people who
mhm,
are using their bodies to create something that
right,
is, you know, but a lot of people, a lot of art is in your brain
mhm,
that you have to like get real in there and then put it out in words or in
mhm,
digital format or whatever. I think it makes sense that the body kind of ends up getting left behind
Mm.
because that's not your focus. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's like if you're a dancer, I'm sure there's just so much shame associated with and
Mm.
having to look a certain way and all those things. But it makes sense, I guess. It's not just the deeply wounded that are having to get back in touch with their bodies and women and all that. It's people who are creating art that is their mind.
Mhm.
Like, it's your brain, you know?
Mhm.
I hope that makes sense. I just think, like, it makes sense to me that we would need to circle back
Mhm.
to our whole selves, not just the
Mhm.
part of our brain that's making the art and staying in there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense. So maybe you can make art without a body, but you're certainly not gonna be able to share it with anyone.
mhm, and you probably will feel crazy all the time
Mhm.
if you don't connect back. At least I do a lot of the
Right.
time, feel like a lunatic. Why am I crying? You know?
Yeah.
Um,
So
so yeah,
things we can do, we can meditate, we can,
punch the air and dance.
right? We can
That's been good.
give our bodies we can keep the promises we make to our bodies, even and especially in the little ways, like basic human needs. What else?
Um, I've been I don't know if this is a good thing. I'll see. This quarter, I think I mentioned earlier that my one of my goals is to eat protein. Um, do my morning pages because writing 3 pages of whatever helps me get into my body and out of my mind because it's like I go out of my mind if I don't do it.
Mm.
Um, and then I have like dance once a
Mhm.
day. I actually have a chart with stickers.
Oh, I love that so much.
I also have noticed this is probably a whole nother episode that I really am pissed at myself if I don't do all the things on the chart, but that's not the fucking point. The point
Right.
is that we're trying harder to. So I say that to say, if I know that most days it would be really good for me to take a walk outside, dance, make sure I have protein, and do my morning pages, like I like seeing the days that I did those things and be
Mm.
like, "See, you are trying to take care of your body." Because for me, that it's been like a source of shame that, well, why don't you take care of yourself? Like people take care of themselves. Why don't you want to take care of yourself? What do you hate yourself? Why would you hate yourself? What an idiot. Like I get in those. So
Mhm.
sometimes then I just look at my little star chart and I'm like, oh no, 6 out of 7 days this week, I ate protein twice on purpose.
Mhm.
I shoved an egg in my mouth and I had some salmon. All right, you know? Um, so that being said, maybe it would be nice to concentrate on one thing a day that you know is good for you to do for
Mhm.
your body and try to be like, I did that every day. I drank this water, or so that you can be like, see, I am taking care of you. Yay. And then I
Right.
feel like it builds on itself. That's a suggestion.
Yeah.
Mine is by my bed. Like I'm 12 years old. It's a big piece of poster board. It was my artist date last weekend. And I made this chart and I bought little stickers to put on it. Yeah, my
Yes.
husband's I'm 11 years older than him, but I'm acting like I'm 11 years old. It's fine. Um,
You know, sometimes, like I said earlier, sometimes you gotta have to go back to the kid stuff. Like, think kids seem to me to be some of the most embodied people. So it would make sense that in trying to get embodied again, we would kind of return to that earlier state.
arrested development in a good way.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah, some ideas.
Yeah.
What is one thing that I could try to do every day?
Yeah. That seems a whole
And
lot more doable than let's try and hit these 70 things every day.
and then be like, "You don't even care about your body, you idiot."
Right.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Yoga, I think for me has been huge. Obviously, it's doing something. If my body is weeping through it, without my mind being involved,
Mhm.
it's doing something. I don't know what, but I'm going with it.
When I
So
cry in yoga, it's my hamstrings, but go ahead. So
um, let's see what else. Dance. Dance is such a huge one. Like, sometimes I will and I feel really dumb doing it, which is not the point, but I have this nice big space downstairs, and sometimes I will shut the door, and I will put on some music and just, like, dance in here, and I end up crying, which
I
I
did
think
too yesterday.
really?
Yeah, I'm dancing and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's the body I think it's the body being like, "Yep, thank you." Like, "You heard me, and thank you for doing this thing for me." Like, that is huge.
Yep.
So, dancing, even though maybe you feel foolish doing it, I think is a massive one. Um,
You could do it all by yourself. You don't have
yep.
to do it at the park.
Yeah. I think that there are therapists out there called somatic therapists,
Mhm.
and they deal with body trauma. And sometimes they have you do exercises that get you in your body, like I've never been to one, but I went to this thing where there was a somatic therapist and she was talking about different exercises and I was like, "Whoa, what is this therapy?" Okay.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's in particular somatic therapists that deal with body stuff. Um
It's a lot of good stuff.
It is. And, I hear a lot about people being like, yeah, when I push myself really, really hard in working out. And I think that that definitely can be one, at least for me, it's it's complicated because then there's the whole Western culture like pain is weakness leaving the body, no pain, no
Mhm.
gain. And like that I feel like is an example of not listening to your body. That's like Western mindset of, like almost like you're going to teach your body a lesson.
Mhm.
I kind of think like we don't teach our body a lesson. Our body is the teacher, because we're so disembodied in the West. And so I think working out can be one of them, but I think it's working out while making sure we're tuning into the communication, that two-way communication between the body and the mind.
Mhm. Yeah, becoming stronger and building and yeah.
Mhm.
I am not a I don't want a punishment. It's
Absolutely.
not gonna work for me.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, that's the goal, dear listener. That is that's the goal and something I'm definitely working on and definitely not good at yet.
Samesies.
Yeah. What about you, listener? What about what about you and your body? Tell us about it. Tell us about it on the socials, or you can go to honestlydearlistener.com and tell us about it there.
Come on.
Do it. All right, Emily.
Oh, bye. I thought that was it.
Bye.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo.
Let the body keep the score. Let the body keep the score.